I came across a stash of old whiskey that's been aging on a little bit of oak for ages. It's fine, there's nothing wrong with it, but it could be a whole lot better. I have a sneaky plan to try and dial up that awesome almost instantly. How's it going, chasers? I hope you're having a kick-ass week. I'm Jesse, this is Still It, and in this bottle is one of my old runs of UJSSM. Like I said, it's been aging on a little bit of oak for quite some time. And it's UJSSM, it's good, but it is a sugar wash. And the oak that I was using, I think I didn't treat that so well for this specific variation of the UJSSM. It has some good corn flavor still. It has that weird sugar bowl-y kind of thing going on, and it's picked up a little bit too much astringency from the oak and not enough of the other oaky flavors. And the lack of body from the sugar wash is really struggling to balance out that astringency. So I'd like to try and fix that today by going back to something that I tried ages ago. Now, bear with me guys, this isn't real whiskey, but I'm a home distiller. I make what I want. I make it for me. I do enjoy geeking out and trying to do things properly and making a really, a neat sippable single malt whiskey for sure. But sometimes it's nice just to have something with Coke as well. I'm going to see if I can turn this into what that should be. Let's go see my dirty little secret, shall we? Homebrew shop essences. I messed around with these a little while ago, and basically what I did is just make a neutral, put some of this into it, mix it up, leave it for, I don't know, maybe a day and tried it the next day. Had a lot of pushback from you guys saying, yeah, that's kind of what they're intended for, but they can be so much better than that if you use them with something that's actually like half decent to begin with, or if you mix them with neutral and then throw oak on them and get some real oak action going on. So seeing as I don't have any great attachment to this as it is, I thought it would be a nice way to test this kind of theory out and give it another nudge and dial my own wankery down a little bit. So I have 5 different essences sent to me very kindly by a Patreon called Rob, who sent them to me like a year ago. Sorry, Rob. But here they are, and he's handpicked out the ones that he thinks are actually good rather than me just going to a homebrew store and grabbing some off the shelf. So the plan is, team, this whiskey is already aged for multiple years on real oak, average oak. I'm just going to blend these into each jar to taste. There's not going to be, following the instructions on the bottle for this makes no sense. So what I'm looking for here is a little bit of added complexity and flavor and potentially a little bit of balancing in that body department. We may even have a look at adding a little glycerin into this to see what happens. We're throwing out all of the preconceived notions today and just doing stuff for the fun of it and for the yum of it. I have a trusty straw for putting a little bit in, stirring it up, dipping, tasting. I'm going to save the unadulterated batch to taste next to later on. So I'm just going to get stuck into this, honestly, guys, and mix them up and see how we go. So I've mixed each of these up with each of the essences sort of just to taste, really. I've gone through and tasted them all. I've got an idea of what they're doing, and I've decided I'm going to do 2 more things. First of all is, where did it go? Last time I did this was the essence from memory that I was most impressed with. So I think it would make sense to do 1 more jar and put that into the mix as well. And 2, I am enjoying the extra flavor that's coming from this, surprisingly so, actually. Like it's actually working in some regards in terms of giving it a little bit more life in terms of flavor, but it's definitely, yeah, interesting. All right, let's give it a mix up and taste. Touch more, like a drop or 2. So with all of these, I'm still just missing that mouthfeel that you would get with a good whiskey. So I am, in fact, going to dose all of these with some glycerin. So big old shake. And I've decided to put 2 mils, just 2 mils in each of them. And then, before I do anything else, I'm going to number all the bottles and all the jars so I can actually put them back together when I pull these back out again. But I'm going to let it sit for, I'm going to go with, aim for 2 weeks. I'm going to try and get 2 weeks. Here's something cool, team. Both shirts from Into the AM, both this one and the one that I was wearing earlier on in the video, are both still available on the Into the AM website, and they're both direct collaborations with yours truly. And the Patreons helped out a bunch as well to make sure that these shirts are dope. Cool distilling related t-shirts to help you craft Into the AM, and if you're interested, you can catch them over on the website right now. I'll put a link down below, and they've actually got a bunch of really cool new designs that have come out. I'm hoping to get my hands on some of those soon. You guys might beat me to it. So if you are interested, team, use the link in the description down below. You support a cool company making cool stuff for people like us. It supports the channel as well, and you end up with some really dope shirts. Everyone wins. Time for tasting. It's actually been a little bit less than 2 weeks, but I think I've given it enough time to do its deal. I've only got 4 glasses with me at the moment, so what I'm going to do is pour one of them as the, I guess you could call it the control. I'm going to keep that down here so I can go back to it. Oh, by the way, I totally forgot when I was rummaging around, like I bottled up a bottle and waxed it of the UJ SSM white way back in the day. And that kind of makes me happy. You guys should think about doing that if you're into this hobby. Like, have some progress reports bottled up and hidden away that you can go back to. Anyway, let's recalibrate with the original UJ SSM. Dude, that is so much better. It's still an average whiskey. It is better though. All right, let's give another one a nudge. The plan is to make these 3 battle it out, pick a winner from these 3, and then go against the winner from these 3. That's better too. This one tastes better, has more body, but it's also even more astringent than... even more astringent than the just straight UJ SSM. So let's get this one out of the road. What was it? That was the Essence Scotch whiskey. By the way, team, a lot of these are not corn-based whiskey essences. They're just whiskey essence. So, you know, take that into account. I actually don't mind the flavor that this is imparting. It's quite nice. It's just that it's also adding astringency. If you were putting this into just straight vodka, that would make a little bit more sense to me. It's just that what I'm working with is already too astringent. So, oh man, I'm totally gonna kick these. Dump bucket. All right, so it's between these 2. This has an interesting, almost like marzipan kind of thing going on with it. Marzipan's not quite the right word, but like a tangy fruit that is interesting. It doesn't strike me specifically as whiskey-ish, like, or as bourbon-ish. There's also a slight acrid, kind of like burnt coffee to this that I'm not, it's not bad, it just doesn't quite fit. This one for sure. All right, you, sir, are out of here. Second 3, let's get stuck in. So this one doesn't actually say, I don't think. Samuel Wizard's Smooth Whiskey Spirit Essence. I'm not sure, but the branding makes me think it's trying to be like Irish style, which would work well in this. Yeah. This one is hands down, what is it? Okay, the Tennessee Bourbon by Duck Distilling, which was the winner last time. Better, interesting sweetness. It tastes like fruity sweetness, not just sweet, and it doesn't have, both of these have a slight acrid taste to them that just don't quite fit. Once again, it's probably because it's stacked on top of that extra, the extra tannins from the wood that was already pushing it a little bit too far. Not so on board with this one. It just tastes more acrid and astringent with not a lot of extra anything. That's the Canadian Recipe Legend Whiskey Essence. This one is similar to the others in that it tastes better, but it's also, I don't know, there's just something not quite right with it for me. So it comes down to Pure Distilling's Whiskey, Chivalry's Not Dead, and Tennessee Bourbon Duck Distilling. These are the two that I think are the best of all three. This has a subtle, smooth mid-body, more so than the others, so it's not just the glycerin doing that. And it has a slight hint of that cherry note on the back end. Often with things like this, that cherry note just tastes like cough syrup coming out of bottles like these. And it is a little bit cough syrupy coming out of here. But I think the reason it's working well is I've put just enough to kind of interplay with the actual corn that was in the UJ SSM. That's significantly better than the original UJ SSM. This one has more of the interesting barrel spice flavors that aren't already in the control. Specifically clove and cinnamon, I would say. And the fruitiness is almost like a sweet apple cider as opposed to just being syrupy. So I'm quite on board with that. I guess we just mix them, eh? That is actually pretty good. That's better than both were by themselves. And I did wonder, because I'm missing that kind of barrel sweetness, I wondered if going just absolutely crazy and putting some butterscotch flavoring in there is a terrible idea. Whoa, that was too much. It was too much. Proof it down a little bit with the that and a little of this. So I'm not going to tell you porkies here, team. This is not a sipping whiskey for me. I wouldn't just sit here and drink it neat. Almost all of the all-grain whiskeys that I've made, even the younger ones, are still more enjoyable to me than that. But would I be happy to drink this when I just feel like having a bourbon and Coke? Hell yeah. It's perfectly fine for that. And it is better than just the UJ SSM version. Let's be real, I made the UJ SSM a long time ago. I made some mistakes. I think it's a slightly too headsy. I also think that I screwed up with the oak choice that I used. Could I make a UJ SSM by itself better than this? Probably, I think. Yeah, I think I could. But then would that be even better again with a little bit of doctoring and melding it into exactly what you want it to be? Probably. So I have to say, team, you guys were right. I am on board with this in a certain way. So thanks for the feedback, and sorry it took me so long to do it. Anyway, I hope you enjoyed this video. If you play with things like this at home, please leave a comment in the description down below and let us know how it works out for you and what your favorite recipes or concoctions are. That would be pretty awesome. Who knows, you might give someone out there some inspiration to go and do something really dope themselves. I will catch you next week. Keep on chasing the craft, guys. See ya.